astral second chakra, this little number, can wreak so much havoc. In fact, in 34 years of working with energy, which of course this is going to date me a year from now because it'll be 35 years, but we digress. I have never met a client, and I've seen thousands, who does not have some sort of second chakra thing going on. Let's start with the basics. The second chakra is 2 fingers below the navel. So if this was my navel, the chakra would be 2 fingers below this way, not this way, okay? This way. This chakra, sure, it's about sex, but it's also about, more importantly, it's the seat of the emotions. In other words, sex is amazing, so I am not trying to make it not an important thing. But your emotions play into your sexuality. They play into your creative expression, don't they? And so when we think in terms of the second chakra being the seat of the emotions, it really tells a story of how powerful this chakra is. The fascinating thing about this chakra is that it comes online around age 7. That's the time when little kids are able to discern the difference between how they feel and how the teacher feels, or their friend feels, or how mom and dad or their siblings feel. So think in terms of the day that, and I can remember a day like this when I was a kid, going home and being very excited because it was my day to do snack at school and it was my day to do show and tell. And walking through the door full of the bubbles of all of that. And so being very clear on my emotions and realizing my mother had burned something in the oven and she was not a happy camper. And I was very clear, I'm happy, mommy is not happy. We're able at age 7, the age of reason, to start understanding the difference between self and other. It's a fabulously powerful skill for us to begin to develop at that early age, but it's not the most sophisticated way we have to understand people later in life. However, that second chakra, when there is a difficult home environment, becomes a filtering device rather than the difference between me and other. So let's say, for example, that mom yells a lot, or dad drinks a lot, or mom and dad fight a lot. And you, as a little person, have to navigate that environment day in and day out. You start to use your second chakra to filter, where are they at? How are they feeling? What do I need to do to stay safe and unafraid in this environment? So what happens is the second chakra then becomes a scanning device for other rather than a device for our own emotional awareness. To do that, we begin to create an excessively open second chakra because we're scanning, pulling in information. How's mom? How's dad? How's my brother? How's the teacher? So that we know I should be this way because that's what's happening out there right now. So when the second chakra becomes about everybody else's emotions, we have a label for that. We call it empathic sensitivity. We call it highly sensitive person. For most people, this is not a scientific study, and I may even make a few people angry with this because it wouldn't be the first time. But when I have had clients in my practice who have said, I'm an HSP, highly sensitive person, or I'm an empath, my follow-up question is always, did you grow up with a lot of trauma in your home? The answer, 100% of the time, has been yes, 100%. So what that tells us is that empathic sensitivity, highly sensitive personality, is acquired. You're not born into that. It becomes who you are. One of the key tricks for the second chakra, which by the way opens in the front and out behind you, is to learn to regulate that chakra back to being about you and your emotional awareness and not what everybody else is up to. What happens is you learn to close that chakra down to about 25%. And what I recommend people do when they HSP or empathic sensitivity is a thing is train it and regulate it down to about 10%. Become accustomed to being present to yourself and observing others rather than bringing others in and overwhelming your field. And then see, do you want to move it up to 15%, 20%, ultimately 25%, or do you just prefer to be with yourself? That's the second chakra. There's a lot of other things that you'll find with the second chakra. There's a caretaking component that is huge. And again, often I stay safe by taking care of other people, or I get kudos for taking care of other people. Or in the case of a difficult childhood, perhaps if I don't take care of them, no one else will. But again, you can check out the YouTube video and learn more about the second chakra, or if you prefer, just move on to the third. Up to you.